Hey, today is Sunday before the New York City elections, and I'm out here in Jackson Heights asking people what they think about the candidates, what issues matter to them. Here's what they had to say. So, what's your name?
Victoria.
Victoria, nice to meet you. And are you from Queens?
Yes, I am.
How long have you lived here?
My entire life.
Okay, great. In Jackson Heights.
In Elmhurst, then Forest Hills, then Jackson Heights. So this area, Western Queens.
So, what are your thoughts on the election so far?
I don't like the way it is shaken out at all. I'm worried. Basically, I supported Zellner Myrie, who was my first choice from the beginning, who I think was absolutely wonderful. And unfortunately, because of the way things are falling, I've had to vote for someone I really, really don't like, but who may save us from someone I really think is wrong for this city.
Would you be comfortable elaborating on that? Or?
Yes, my second choice vote was for Andrew Cuomo, who I loathe, but I think Zoran Mamdani is a complete insult to our intelligence and dangerous and horrible.
In what ways do you think that he's dangerous, or what parts
I
do you
think
disagree
his
with of his
ideas are, while they sound attractive, and I think he is a wonderful, wonderful speaker, I honestly do. A lot of them are things that would have to go through the state legislature. A lot of them are things that just don't make any economic sense. A $30 minimum wage sounds great, but there are a lot of small businesses. You can't go up that quickly, that steeply. Freezing rent, I am a renter, but I concede that there are things that the Rent Guidelines Board has to take into consideration. So I just don't think they're thought through. And I've gotten to think it's like a left-wing version of Trump. It's just break things just for the sake of breaking things. And I really find that scary.
So you were kind of mentioning that you feel like you're in a tough situation. You're actually the first voter I've spoken to who had a first choice, who was Myrie. Which is kind of
wonderful. I think his housing plan is just really creative and really what we need. I mean, he wants to go in with 100,000 units of housing. I mean, I think it's just wonderful. And I think he's been lost in the shuffle. He is young. But I think he would have been a great mayor. I mean, obviously he's not gonna go anywhere. But
what are your top issues as a New Yorker?
Cost of living, healthcare, housing, I would say.
So in terms of housing, would you like to see more housing being built? What are some changes that you would like to see?
I don't like the city of Yes. I don't think it's sensitive to neighborhoods like this one, where historic preservation is so important and so much a part of the fabric of the neighborhood. I think it was Brad Landor's idea to go to city-owned lots, or maybe it was Scott Stringer, I can't remember, but a lot of vacant city-owned land and start building there. The idea about building market rate housing in the extra areas around housing projects, I think is pretty good. We do need more housing, but I think it has to be done sensitively. I really do. And I really like the plan, and this I know is Landers, borrowed from other places, where you, on the homeless, mentally ill, you get them homes first and get them off the street. And I think that's great. I really do. And yes, I am also concerned about crime. So that's would be another one. And the mentally ill go into that.
So would you be ranking Lander also in your...
Well, originally I was going to. Originally I was going to have Cuomo fifth, and I was going to have Lander in there. I was going to have Jessica Ramos in there. She's the state senator from here. I was going to have Michael Blake there because I worked with him on the Obama campaign, and I think he's great. And then I was going to have Cuomo fifth, but because of everything that's happening, I knew they didn't have a shot, so I had to push Cuomo up.
Are you surprised kind of by the momentum that Zoran Mamdani has picked up? Because it seems like, he's really kind of hit the pavement and garnered a lot of support. I don't know like how accurate, the polling can reflect
Right.
that. Do you think like maybe a few weeks ago your ranked choice voting would have been different maybe if you're not trying to
Well,
like.
I might have had Cuomo in fifth. Yeah, definitely. I think the DSA, and a lot of people criticize them, they are amazing in terms of getting out there. They really support their candidates. They go door to door. They are on the streets all the time. And I think they really work for it. I just think, I love AOC, but I think Mamdani is a real mistake by them. I really do.
What kind of canvassing have you seen in your neighborhood? I'm curious, like what kind of advertisements do you feel like have been
Door
kind of
knocking. Door knocking, basically. Yeah.
from all different candidates or?
Uh, Mostly Mamdani. They've really, really been out there. And, I've also gotten direct mail from just about everybody. But, my knowledge is from reading the papers, watching the debates, and getting a sense of them that way. But again, I have to hand it to the DSA because they really, really get out there. So, and I think that, and he is the best speaker of the group. But that's cosmetic. That's not substance. So I think it would be a very dark day for the city if he won.
Is there anything you want to add?
Excuse me?
Is there anything else you want to add?
Yes, Mark Levine is the only choice for controller and Jumaane Williams, Republic advocate. So, okay, lovely talking
Yeah,
to you.
nice to talk to you.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
take
I really
care.
appreciate
Bye-bye.
it. Thank you. So, what do you think about the mayor's race?
See, any leader, all are good, but they should take care. Right now, roads very bad in Manhattan, Queens, wherever you go at night, you drive, they like giving you shocks everywhere. I don't know why. Manhattan, even Brooklyn, Queens, they do so much construction in these days, but I don't know what is. If the roads are good, is very very easy, and if they take care for this, bicycle pedestrian, tell them to find a law regulation, go with lights, at least follow the rules. I think it's very very good. This mayor should take care for two things.
Are there any candidates that you've heard of that you're leaning toward, or
No,
are you not planning on voting? Or
No, it's not that. I am good with anyone who understand the honest person, who can be understand about, think about the city, think about the public. Doesn't matter who will come. All are good.
they're all good? You're saying?
All are good, but only they. Who is the best? Not involved in corruption. Not take care for the public. That's it.
What are your thoughts on this mayoral election?
I'm going to vote for Brad Lander, number 1, Zoran, number 2, Adrian Adams, number 3. I'm not concerned about 4 or 5, anyone but Colo, ABC.
Tell me about your thought process behind your ranked choice there.
Oh, I like Brad Lander's experience in his time in controllership. I like that he has given his second apartment in his house to migrants having a tough time given the reduced rate. I think he's walking the walk and really doing something for the community. Not a lot of people really do the things that they say they will, and I feel like he stood up to that, which we see in his response to escorting people in the ICE protests at City Hall.
And what do you think of? So you said Zoran is number 2 for you. What do you think about him? He's very, popular. I just spoke with a younger woman who said she just voted for him. What do you make of his campaign? That's kind of making this a big national story.
He's really captured something, and I appreciate that. I don't agree with all his positions. I think that rent freezes disproportionately affect people who have stabilized apartments, which isn't really a majority of the population and won't solve the housing crisis. That said, a lot of people believe in him, and he's still better than Cuomo, so I'm more than happy to vote for him number 2 if that's what it takes.
What's your number 1 issue living in New York?
Well, my number 1 issue is the fact that we can't build housing. It seems as though, and Jackson Heights is a great example, it's really hard to build new housing, and when new housing is built, it's only for people who are using it for anti-money laundering. The oligarchs from Russia are buying these houses on 57th Street that just sit empty because we have so little money laundering rules on real estate purchases.
Great. And do you think that Lander has a shot of winning, or?
I think with ranked choice, no one really understands how the polls are going to go. It had a real impact in Catherine Garcia's candidacy 4 years ago. I expect it to have an impact this year. I'm not sure how that's going to actually play out, because it's the only second time we did it here in New York.
Cool. Is there anything else you want to add?
I still love the city, and I hope whoever wins will help make it run better.
So you just told me that you voted early in the election. Who did you vote for?
I voted for Zohran Mamdani.
And why did you vote for him?
I believe he's a New Yorker and he represents what New Yorkers need right now, whereas a lot of the other candidates are funded by the interests that may be that don't necessarily serve our interests. So yeah, and I think over the last 10 years we can see a lot of changes in New York that a lot of people who are from here don't really align with. So I think that just goes to show what the past mayors have done to the city. So yeah.
Are there any specific examples of things that you were unhappy with, with past leadership that you like to see changed?
Yes, I think just seeing no improvements in the MTA has been kind of hard. There have been a couple, but mainly in the tourist areas or, the more expensive tax brackets or whatever. Where also just the amount of housing that has been built over the last 10 years and none of it having been, I shouldn't say none, but most of it is not for people who can afford $2,000, $5,000 in rent per month. So those are some of the things that I hope Zohran Mamdani does. I'm not saying it's guaranteed that he's going to do those things, but he's running a campaign based off of dollars raised by common people instead of by super PACs. So that's kind of exciting to see.
Did you rank other people on your ballot too, or?
No, I didn't. I don't know any of the others that well, so I didn't want to, but I did not rank Andrew Cuomo, but I just didn't rank anybody else because I didn't want to, I'm not informed on any of the others, so I didn't want to, give somebody a vote that I wasn't sure about. So, yeah.
How did you mostly hear about Zohran?
I heard about him on Instagram months ago, and I just was definitely captivated by his campaign. Didn't really think he had a chance to win at that time, and then in the past month it kind of just skyrocketed, I think, because of social media. So that's, yeah, social media.
And sorry, one last question. What's your top issue as a New Yorker? You mentioned the MTA. Are there other things that you're looking for the next mayor to improve?
It's hard to choose. I would say, as a teacher, I think, after school programs and teachers being paid more and students having more access to resources during their K through 12 education would be my most, what I would love to see change. But obviously I think the most immediate thing that would help people is definitely some type of rent relief or some type of rent lowering for everybody. Yeah.
What's your name?
Angel.
Angel, and how long have you lived in Jackson Heights?
My whole life.
All right. And what are your thoughts on this upcoming election?
It's pretty funny.
It's funny, yeah? Tell me more about it.
Mayor Adams is the funniest guy ever in those live interviews. And I don't know why anyone even wants to vote for Cuomo. That's just my thought.
Are you planning on voting at all, or?
No, because there's really no one I want to vote for.
But you're amused by the situation.
Yeah, it's how many different ways can you solve a problem democratically? Everyone's a Democrat. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I'm a Republican, but they're all sort of going for the same thing. Mm-hmm. Also, New York voted red, so why are all of them saying anti-Trump things? Wouldn't they say positive Trump things since most of New York voted red?
No, or which parts of New York do you mean?
Well, I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure the map after the election of New York was all red.
It did move more red, but it was overwhelmingly blue, I think. But I can double check that. I'll put that into the video.
Either way, you would want to
But yeah, not everyone is a Democrat. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just my thought on that. Why wouldn't you abide by the growing population of Republicans?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yesterday I was actually in Staten Island, which is mostly a red borough, and they're kind of not as involved in the primary process since they already have a candidate, Curtis Lewa, who ran in the last mayoral election against Adams. Sorry, it's loud. and obviously he, didn't end up winning. But so are you a registered Democrat, or you don't have to share?
I think I'm independent last I checked.
Okay, so you're not voting in the primaries then?
No, actually, it was funny because when I tried to switch to independent and I wasn't allowed, now that I'm remembering correctly. Like, I was originally registered Democrat and I had to stick with Democrat. And just off of principle, I think that's why I decided not to vote. Because, like, how are you going to force me to be a Democrat? Just on principle, even if I completely agreed with everything. I prefer having my own choice.
So can you tell me about your shirt?
I mean,
It caught my attention as you were walking by.
when you asked about like politics, for the upcoming election, I kind of did one of those like sharp inhales because I don't, I'm wearing this shirt right now. I'm on camera wearing this shirt right now. I was a bit hesitant actually to take this interview because I didn't want to be seen wearing this shirt because I don't particularly support Cuomo. I don't think he's a righteous guy. I think he's a bit of a morally reprehensible person. But for me, I think, even though he's a bad guy, he's paying $200 a day. And even if it is like blood money from like billionaires and super PACs and, not righteous causes, a guy's gotta get money. I'm sorry.
So who do you support instead?
Personally, I kind of stand behind Zohran Mamdani. I've heard a lot of people's criticisms of him and people's praises of him. I think he's kind of a breath of fresh air for politics in New York. People kind of criticize his inexperience, and that's a valid claim. He's had positions before, and people say that he wasn't able to get much done there, and that's fair. But how else are you supposed to get experience besides being in position and moving us towards a better future? I feel like, for me, Zohran Mamdani was the first politician in a hot minute that I was actually like, oh damn, this guy's pretty cool, because I feel like I don't even identify that much as a Democrat. I'm kind of I support the people at the end of the day, the working class, Republican, Democrat. I'm with the people, the average Joe that's trying to just get by. And I feel like when it came to presidential elections, for example, Kamala Harris spent so much money on her campaign. All I really gathered from her campaign was, I'm not Trump. Which, for me, that was enough because I don't like Trump. I was like, yeah, okay, let me vote for Kamala. But I didn't really know what she stood for at the end of the day, I'll be honest, just from seeing her on the news. Zohran, I feel like his campaign, he actually went down on the ground, to actually talk to people. What was the reason people voted for Trump? What was people's, the reason that they turned away from, Kamala, for example? And people were focused on, money and money issues, New York is one of the most expensive cities to live in. And, when people are concerned about that, the economics, instead of, this, culture war bullshit. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to swear again.
You're good.
I feel like that's what people care about at the end of the day. Both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party focus so much on this culture war that it's okay, now we can get exploited by all these rich people. And I feel like Zohran's message is clear. Make New York affordable. Make it, cheaper to live here. Make it, make people have more money in their pockets to spend at the end of the day.
So where have you been? Oh no, you're good. So where have you been canvassing mostly, and what kind of reactions have you gotten from people?
For me, I've mostly been in Rochdale, St. Albans, deep into Queens, further out than I am. For me, it seems like it's a very pro Cuomo area. Most people are not really aware even of other candidates. It's mostly it seems to be a lot of older voters there. I don't see that many young folks there. I won't say the specific location I'm at. I still want to keep my job. I have another job on election day. I'm making $500 in one day, which goes to show how much money that Cuomo was pouring into this election. My boss in my last canvassing job, he was yo, Cuomo's doing $10 per signature during his last election. He has the money to pour into this, but for some reason he doesn't have the money to give to New York citizens or something.
So how did you find out about that opportunity originally?
I was just spam applying stuff on Indeed, I can't lie. I just came back from my first semester at college. I just wanted to get some bread. I just applied to everything that I could on Indeed. They were the first people to get back too. Or actually, not even. I didn't even start with Cuomo. I started with some other guy, and I was doing canvassing with Sheridan Chew for 2 days. and then they like shut down his office, and then my boss had me move over to like Reuben Wills for like New York City Council, and then after that I moved to. After that, my original boss contacted me again to work for Cuomo's campaign, and they were like, "Yo, $240 a day." Okay, they originally told me $240 a day, $240 for 8 hours of work, or $480 for 16 hours of work, and then when they got there, they were like, "Oh, it's $200 a day." It was only $240 for 8 hours and $480 for 16 on election day. So I mean, like, kind of misleading. It's, you know, $40 less than like their original promised daily wage, but I mean, like, it's not that crazy of a deal. I don't know.
I think it was like taxes or so.
Yeah. I mean, not even that. I don't think this is getting taxed because we don't make enough for this to officially get taxed. I mean, I don't know. It could have just been like an unclear message. I'm not gonna put that on like Cuomo or his campaign. It could have just been like my boss being unclear. So like,
Gotcha.
don't use that as like a rallying call against.
Do you have any other thoughts on the election or?
Yeah. Okay. So I would say initially I was kind of already a bit disillusioned with American politics, just in terms of like, you know, it's expensive. You know, people keep on focusing on this and that, like the tariffs and all that, like these big grand schemes. At the end of the day, the average American is not so concerned with the grand schemes of countries. We're mostly concerned for ourselves and our neighbors. And also, it's like, I'm not even that concerned for just like Americans in general. I'm concerned for people in general. You know? Sorry, that was like a totally unrelated tangent, but like, okay, let me bring this back. You know, I care about people at the end of the day. People have kind of lost the plot. People have lost the plot when it comes to voting. You know, I myself am disillusioned. So many Americans are disillusioned. I thought, you know, like, oh, most Americans probably are like, you know, even if they vote, they kind of like agree that the system's kind of like fucked up, that things need to change. And that is like the average American view for the most part. And I already knew that most folks were either misinformed, disinformed, malinformed, you know, whatever word you want to use. But doing canvassing has been one of the most frightening, enlightening experiences, because it reveals to me how uninformed the average voter is, how out of touch with politics the average voter is. I'm talking to like these everyday Joes. You know, I talked to like this 60-year-old woman the other day. She's like a lifelong resident of this country, talking about like, oh, she only votes for the Democrat option because it has like the little D in the parentheses. She was talking about how like she missed when that was the thing, because she knew that it, you know, it just made it easy to pick. You're not informed about your options. You're just voting for what's given in front of you. You know, you think you have like the option to turn down whatever road, like that's free will. The road's already been paved for you like that. You know, and I think, you know, adding on to that, she's talking about, oh, I only vote for the D option. She didn't even know who the other candidates were. Like, she was talking about, oh, I voted for Cuomo. I love Cuomo. That's my guy. That's the only guy I know. You don't even know the other options. Most of these people didn't know any of the other candidates besides Cuomo. You know, either maybe it's a problem of lack of outreach, or maybe just the average voter themselves just doesn't have, like, the resources to, like, get that information. I don't know. But it's sad. Most people aren't tapped in. Most people vote because of names that they recognize, or most people are just, like, not interested in general. Most people either vote because, like, their family member told them to, or, like, they were either pressured by some of the people around them. I mean, maybe, I don't know. It could depend on the neighborhood, how politically active people are, but I don't know. It was kind of scary to me to see so many people that were just going to the polls and didn't really know much, or just hated voting, or just hated the system and didn't even use their voice to be heard. You know what I mean? Can I end this off with one last little anecdote, or little sorry to talk so much as well. I'm a bit of a
make
chat.
sure.
Yo, this is my encouragement to everyone to get out there and vote. Not for this guy. I don't think. Okay, I got a few things to say. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
All right. Is this gonna be all like chronological? Because I feel like I'm totally not going chronologically right now.
I just like kind of put it out there.
Okay, bet.
I might edit some things for time, but it won't.
That's valid. You can keep like the highlights real then. Well, I was gonna say today I heard the first actual compelling argument for Cuomo from one of the other like older like lady canvassers that was out there. Obnoxious. But Okay, yeah, I heard an actual compelling argument for Cuomo from one of the older candidates. I think people do talk about him having experience. I still think he's kind of a corrupt guy, what he's done with the MTA, pulling, funding from public education, MTA, etc., and then also, like, his allegations. But he does have experience, like, in office as well. He stood up to Trump before as well. That's a compelling argument, especially with Trump, like, really, like, showing his power, kind of like, putting his finger on the scale. I don't know if I'm using that phrase right, but I don't know what's the word. Trump's kind of turning the heat up. He's turning the temperature up. Like L.A., bro. There's ICE like agents coming, like, snatching people out of their homes. Maybe Cuomo does have, like, the know-how, the competence, the governmental experience to actually, like, deal with that. I don't know. That's a compelling argument, though. That actually, like, okay, that's a righteous reason, I don't know. I still personally think he's not a good guy. And any person that, like, has 12 credible cases of assault against them doesn't seem like a person that should be put back into a position of power. Oh yeah, my closing remarks. I've had like 5 closing remarks at this point.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Wait, this is what I was about to say. Was my closing remarks.
Sorry.
My bad, bro. My bad.
You're good.
All right. This is my encouragement to everyone to go out and vote. I saw this great, like, little thing online. You're on a bus right now. There's 9 people in the bus. 3 of them say, yo, we should drive this bus off a cliff. 2 of them say, yo, we should go get ice cream. 4 of them say, like, oh, I don't even want to vote. That's kind of the position we've been in politics a lot lately, And even if you have a morally righteous reason, out of those 4 non-voters, like, oh, I'm a vegan, I don't want ice cream, like, oh, is this ice cream ethically sourced, or, like, I'm not even hungry, you gotta think about the actual repercussions of what's going on. You know what I mean? It's not always about liking ice cream. It's about not wanting to drive the bus off the cliff.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Sorry for talking so much, but
Very good.
I don't know.
So what are your thoughts on this upcoming election?
I think Zorhan's the best person to be mayor. I really think his heart's in the right place, and I think that out of all the candidates running, I think he's the best option for working New Yorkers.
And what about his platform is resonating with you?
I think it's the city becoming really unaffordable. I think I live in a rent-stabilized apartment, but we've been seeing every year the rents completely going up, but it keeps increasing. Working-class New Yorkers can't afford to live in this city. I think even if he doesn't have, he's young. I'm 34 years old. He's 33. I know they say he doesn't have much experience, but I know Cuomo has contributed to an unaffordable state and an unaffordable city. His track record is he completely supports the billionaire class, and I think someone like Zorhan would really give us at least an opportunity for change. Let's say he's not able to do it, I think we'll have an opportunity for change.
Are you planning on voting on Tuesday, or have you already voted?
Funny thing is, I'm not a registered Democrat.
Oh, okay.
So I can't vote. I'm an independent. I don't support the two-party system, but I generally support Zorhan, and if he makes it into the general election, I'll vote for him.
Well, what are other thoughts you have on this race so far? I know it's gotten a lot of interest, maybe among people who don't usually follow New York City politics.
It is interesting. I think it's funny that Andrew Cuomo is able to rehabilitate himself. I think the city and the state is sick and tired of seeing Andrew Cuomo promise people a lot of things, and he's not. I don't think he cares about New Yorkers. I think he cares about himself and his own ego. And I think the fact that he's running in New York City is a testament to how messed up our political system is. That someone like that can really rehabilitate himself and come back and try to gain support. When he contributed to the death of thousands of New Yorkers during the pandemic when he failed to address the issues in the nursing home. And he covered it up, and then his sexual abuse allegations, and then his billionaires are giving him millions of dollars. So I think the fact that he's even in this race is a testament how bad things are. And don't even get me started on Eric Adams. That guy is completely he's completely another guy that's completely corrupt, and he only cares about himself. And I think Zorhan is probably one of the best people out there. I also like Brad Lander too, so I'll take him as well.
So what's your name?
I'm Carlos.
Carlos, nice to meet you. And are you from Queens?
Yes, I live in Queens here actually. Yeah, I'm Peruvian, but I live in Queens here.
Great. And what are your thoughts on the mayor's election coming up?
I think everybody should come out and vote because it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be between Cuomo and Soren. So I don't know. I think you guys dealt with Cuomo before, so I wouldn't suggest going that way. I would try something new. So my approach is like I'm voting for Soren. So I think like I want to try that, see if the change we need. Hopefully it'll be that way. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
What do you like about Zoran?
I like that he's young. He's like a little hungry, like to try to do the right thing. He's probably, there's gonna be like some stepping stones in the way. He's young, but he's eager. But like, if anything, it's like a change. Like everybody, like all the rest of the candidates, they focus on certain things. But like, if you see like they don't go along with New Yorkers, what the New Yorkers actually want. So I think Soren speaks a little more for the day-to-day New Yorkers. So yeah, that's why I'm going with him.
And you're gonna vote on Tuesday, or?
Actually, I already voted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yesterday actually. Yeah.
Nice. So you beat the
Yeah.
most of the heat. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm so sweaty.
No, it's okay. Thank you so much for stopping to chat. Yeah.
Yeah, same. Nice to
Thank
meet
you. Have a good one.
Bye.